Hello. At this point I normally say something like, it's great to be back here at the German Discworld convention. But of course this year I'm not back. We're all scattered across the disc and across the round world. So I suppose I should say something like, it's great to have a chance to talk to you all. But I'm pre-recording this, so while I'm talking, you're not listening, you're off doing something important to you, like shopping or sleeping or reading or something. So I don't really know what to say. I think the best I can come up with is, it's going to be great to be listened to pre-recorded at the German Discworld convention. Cheers! Today I'm going to read you a short story. As far as I'm aware, it's the first of the Discworld short stories, not Terry's first short story, but his first Discworld short story, and it's called Theatre of Cruelty. It was first published as a commissioned piece in a magazine called Bookcase, which is given away by a British stationery company called W.H. Smith. People would walk into the store, pick up a copy of the magazine, find out what was being promoted this month, and hopefully give W.H. Smith a bit more money. But they'd sadly misjudged this one. They put this short story of Terry's in that you couldn't get anywhere else, and put it in a free magazine that you could just walk up into the store and pick up and walk away. And people did just that. They walked in and they picked up 10 or 15 or 20 and walked away, which made it quite hard to get hold of if you actually wanted a copy. I was lucky I did get one. But until recently, it was quite hard to find a print copy of the original story. At the time that I'm recording this, I can only find one copy on sale. Somebody on eBay has one for which they want £175. That's a smidgen over €200. It's a good story, but even I think that's going a bit far. Fortunately, you don't have to pay that much. Terry felt restricted by the 1,000 words that W.H. Smith had specified, and he wanted to add some little extra bits in to flesh out the story. So he did that, and he had it published in the convention magazine for the 1993 Oregon Science Fiction Association convention. Again, not the easiest thing to get hold of, but it has since appeared in Once More with Footnotes. And the first edition of this was a highly limited edition, so still not going so far. But then it was printed in Wizards of Oz, easily available for hardback or paperback from any decent second-hand bookseller. Recently, it's been included in Blink of the Screen, one of my favourite collections of short stories. And as German fans, you even have your own German language translation in this book, which is called Something You Can All Read Perfectly Well Without My Needing to Help You. But today, excuse me while my pile of books falls over. Today I'm going to read it to you from the original. This is an original, almost 30-year-old copy of Bookcase magazine. This is the only place where you will find the original version of the story. Well, Terry thought it was slightly worse because he improved it. But it does mean that if you want to be a completionist and have heard all the Discworld stories, you have to include this. The story is called Theatre of Cruelty. It was a fine summer morning, the kind that made a man happy to be alive. And probably the man would have been happier to be alive. He was, in fact, dead. It would be hard to be deader without specialist training. Well now, said Sergeant Ankh-Morpork, city guard, night watch, consulting his notebook. So far we have a cause of death as A, being beaten with at least one blunt instrument, B, being strangled with a string of sausages, and C, being savaged by at least 2 animals with big sharp teeth. What do we do now, Nobby? Arrest the suspect, Sarge, said Corporal Nobbs, saluting smartly. Suspect, Nobby? Him, said Nobby, prodding the course with his book. I call it highly suspicious being dead like that. He's been drinking too. We could do him for being dead and disorderly. Colon scratched his head. Arresting the corpse offered, of course, certain advantages, but... I reckon, he said slowly, That Captain Vimes will want this one sorted out. We'd better bring it back to the watch house, Nubby. And then can we eat the sausages, Sarge? Said Corporal Nobbs. It wasn't easy being the senior policeman in Ankh-Morpork, greatest of cities of the Discworld. There were probably worlds, Captain Vimes mused in his gloomier moments, where there weren't wizards who made locked-room mysteries commonplace, or zombies. Murder cases were really strange when the victim could be the chief witness, and where dogs could be relied on to do nothing in the night time and not go around chatting to people. Captain Vimes believed in logic, in much the same way as a man in a desert believed in ice, i.e. it was something he really needed, but this just wasn't the world for it. Just once, he thought, it'd be nice to solve something. He looked at the blue-faced body on the slab and felt a flying flicker of interest. There were clues. He'd never seen proper clues before. Couldn't have been a robber, Captain, said Sergeant Colon. The reason being, his pockets were full of money. $11. I wouldn't call that full, said Commander Vimes. It was all in pennies and halfpennies, sir. I'm surprised his trousers stood the strain. And I have cunningly detected that he was a showman. He had some cards in his pocket, sir. Chas Slumber, children's entertainer. I suppose no one saw anything, said Vimes. Well, sir, said Corporal Colon helpfully, I told young Constable Carrot to find some witnesses. And on the magical Discworld, there is always one guaranteed witness to any homicide. It's his job. Captain Carrot, possibly the most linear thinker in the history of the universe, took out his notebook. Now, I know you saw something, sir, he said. You were there. Well, yes, said Death. I have to be, you know, but this is very irregular. You see, sir, said Constable Carrot, as I understand the law, you're an accessory after the fact, or possibly before the fact. Young man, I am the fact. That's why I thought you might be able to help, in fact, said Carrot smoothly. You want me to grass someone up? Be a copper narc? No one killed Mr. Slumber. I can't help you there. Oh, I don't know, sir, said Carrot. I think you have. Damn. Death watched Carrot leave. Now then, where was I? Death sharpened his scythe. It was the first time he'd ever helped the police with their inquiries. Still, everyone had a job to do. Constable Carrot strolled easily around the town. He called in at a sausage maker. He found a group of children and chatted to them for a while. Then he ambled back to the alley where Corporal Nobbs had chalked the outlines of the corpse on the ground. Colouring it in, adding a pipe and some trees and bushes in the background, people had already dropped 7 pence in his helmet. He paid some attention to the heap of rubbish at the far end, then sat down on a busted barrel. All right, you can come out now, he said. I didn't know there were any goblins left in the world. The rubbish rustled. They trooped out, the little man with the red hat and the crooked nose, the little woman in the mob cap carrying the even smaller baby, and the little policeman, the dog with the ruff around its neck, and the very small alligator. Constable Carrot sat and listened. He made us do it, said the little man. He had a surprisingly deep voice. He used to beat us, even the alligator. That was all he understood, hitting things with sticks. And he used to take all the money the dog Toby collected and get drunk. And then we ran away and he caught us in the alley and he started on Judy and the baby and he fell over and... Who hit him first? Said Carrot. All of us. But not very hard, said Carrot. You're too small. You didn't kill him. I have a very convincing statement about that. He choked to death. What's this? He picked up a little leather disc. Oh, that's a swazzle, said the little policeman. He used it for the voices. He thought ours weren't funny enough. That's the way to do it, said the one called Judy. You were stuck in his throat, said Carrot. I suggest you run away just as far as you can. We thought we could start a people's cooperative, said the leading gnome. You know, experimental drama, street theatre, that sort of thing. Not hitting everyone with sticks. You did that for children? Said Carrot. He said it was a new form of entertainment. Carrot stood up and flicked the swazzle into the rubbish. People will never stand for it, he said. That's not the way to do it. Terry was concerned about how well a story involving a classic British tradition, the Punch and Judy theatre, would be received by fans in other countries. Punch and Judy is a simple story, a story of domestic abuse, child beating, murder, police brutality, theft, wild animals tearing people apart, public executions, ghosts and the devil. And it's a traditional children's entertainment here in Britain. When Terry and I were children, it was frequently seen at the seaside. But these days it's more commonly at children's parties or, for some reasons I don't understand, corporate entertainment gigs. It's a hand puppet show run by a single puppeteer called the Professor. Most voices are done in the usual way, but the voice of Mr. Punch uses a gadget called a swazzle. The one in the story that Terry describes is like the ones I remember from my childhood, made of leather. For the purposes of today's reading, I went and bought a swazzle. They've changed a little bit in the design. They are now made of metal. The function of the leather was to make them easy to grip in your mouth. This particular new model is fitted with tape instead and has on it a safety feature, a string, which stops you accidentally swallowing it. The chief puppeteer, the Professor, is not regarded by his peers as a proper professor till he has swallowed his swazzle once. When I was a child, swazzles were a common sight in any toy shop. But somebody has decided that possibly getting small children to put pieces of metal in their mouths and make funny noises isn't a good idea. I had to order this from the internet. Would you like to hear how it sounds? So would I. I've been practicing for 3 days and I'm terrible. But here goes. Oh, if I suddenly disappear off camera, could you dial for an ambulance and ask them to send somebody who understands the Heimlich manoeuvre? What's the way to do it? Pretty awful. Try again. What's the way to do it? I think we'll stop there. It doesn't get any better. As I say, I have been trying for 3 days, so I apologise that that's the best I've done. Anyway, that was Theatre of Cruelty, the first Discworld short story, almost 30 years old. I hope you enjoyed it. I've certainly enjoyed reading it again. And here's to the next convention where we can actually get round a fire and talk and drink beer and have sausages and drink beer and discuss the stories and drink beer and have a beer and drink beer. Roll on the next convention. Goodbye.